Welcome to our channel on this beautiful and bright morning. We are thrilled to have you back with us to unravel the latest, most exciting moments from your favorite TV series. Chaos within the plasma circle escalates as Grayson faces a dangerous and potentially deadly turning point. Will he choose to betray the organization? Will Jacob convince Grayson in this episode? Note, this content is for informational purposes only. Thank you for enjoying our content. The sterile, brightly lit corridors of Garland Memorial Hospital have always been a place of healing, a sanctuary where lives are saved and miracles are prayed for daily. Yet, beneath this pristine veneer of medical benevolence, a dark and treacherous undercurrent is pulling some of our most beloved characters into an impenetrable labyrinth of moral ambiguity and mortal danger. The recent revelations surrounding the clandestine plasma drug trafficking ring have transformed this place of refuge into a terrifying battleground. At the very center of this chilling conspiracy stands Grayson, portrayed with heartbreaking vulnerability by the immensely talented Jordi Villasuso. Grayson's current predicament is not merely a tale of a good man gone bad. It is a profoundly moving tragedy about the lengths to which a devoted son will go when pushed to the absolute brink of despair. To truly understand the agonizing complexity of Grayson's situation, we must first look at the deeply emotional motivations that drove him into the shadows. Grayson is not a hardened criminal with malice in his heart. He is, at his core, a desperate and loving child terrified of losing his ailing mother. The excruciating reality of watching the woman who gave him life slowly waste away from a debilitating illness, coupled with the crushing, suffocating weight of insurmountable medical bills, forced him to make an impossible choice. In a world that often turns a blind eye to the vulnerable, Grayson reached out for the only lifeline available, even though it was tangled in the poisonous web of an illicit plasma drug syndicate. He compromised his soul to save her life, taking on the dangerous role of a courier, delivering illicit packages in the very elevators of Garland Memorial. However, the descent into the criminal underworld is never a simple transaction. It is a trap that tightens with every illicit deed. The hospital elevator, a confined, claustrophobic space that mechanically moves between the light of the upper floors and the shadowy depths of the basement, serves as a brilliant and terrifying metaphor for Grayson's own psychological descent. Every time the elevator doors slide shut, sealing him inside with his dangerous cargo, the walls of his reality close in just a little bit more. He is a man acutely aware of his own precarious existence, feeling the icy breath of impending doom on the back of his neck. He knows, with the horrifying certainty of a hunted animal, that a single misstep, a delayed delivery, or a misplaced word will result in his immediate destruction. Adding to this unbearable psychological pressure is the relentless pursuit of the law, personified by the sharp and observant undercover agent Jacob, played with intense charisma by Jibber Horges. Jacob is not merely a police officer looking to make a simple arrest. He is a master of psychological warfare who recognizes the conflict warring within Grayson's conscience. Jacob has been shadowing Grayson's every move, watching the drop-offs, and calculating the exact moment to strike. But Jacob's approach is far more nuanced than a pair of handcuffs. He is actively trying to turn Grayson, offering him a path to redemption that requires him to betray the dangerous men who hold his mother's fate in their hands. Jacob's presence is a constant, suffocating reminder that the law is closing in, forcing Grayson to constantly look over his shoulder. Yet, the threat of the police pales in comparison to the terrifying menace lurking within the hospital's own staff. Enter Dr. Whitmore, brought to chilling life by Cecilia Specht. There is something profoundly disturbing about a physician, someone who has taken a sacred oath to do no harm, being deeply embedded in a ruthless criminal enterprise. Dr. Whitmore's crisp white coat serves as a deceptive shield for a heart that is cold, calculating, and utterly unforgiving. She watches Grayson with the predatory gaze of a hawk, her eyes tracking his every hesitation and nervous glance. The dynamic between them is thick with unspoken threats. She is the enforcer in plain sight, a constant reminder that the organization's reach extends into the very rooms where life and death are decided. The simmering tension that has been building for weeks finally reaches a horrifying boiling point in the latest weekly promos, delivering a visceral shock to the audience. The agonizing anticipation shatters in a terrifying moment of violence within the confines of the Garland Memorial Elevator. The cold steel of a blade finds its mark, and Grayson is brutally stabbed. The imagery is as heartbreaking as it is horrifying. A man who only wanted to save his mother, now bleeding out in the cold, unforgiving linoleum floor of a hospital elevator. He is left writhing in excruciating pain, his life force slipping away in a crimson pool. The irony is bitterly cruel. He's dying in the very building designed to save lives, struck down while participating in a scheme meant to purchase his mother's salvation. As Grayson's body fails him, he is plunged into a terrifying liminal space between life and death. Rushed into emergency care, he hovers on the razor's edge of mortality. It is in this agonizing state of delirium, stripped of his carefully constructed defenses and overwhelmed by the trauma of his injuries, that the truth finally spills from his lips. In a feverish haze, Grayson unknowingly confesses critical, damning information about the plasma drug ring directly to Jacob. This moment of vulnerability is a masterclass in dramatic irony. Grayson, who has fought so hard to keep his secrets buried to protect his family, inadvertently hands the police the very keys to the kingdom while he is fighting for his last breath. When Grayson finally claws his way back to consciousness, the nightmare is far from over. He awakens not to the comforting presence of his family, but to the terrifying, icy glare of Dr. Whitmore standing over his hospital bed. The medical machinery beeping in the background sounds less like a monitor of life and more like a ticking time bomb. Whitmore's presence in his room is a profound violation of his sanctuary. She is there to deliver a silent, unmistakable ultimatum. She knows, or at least suspects, that the walls are closing in, and she is perfectly positioned to ensure that Grayson never speaks another word. The hospital bed, meant for recovery, has become a suffocating prison where his executioner holds the chart. This brings us to the agonizing crux of Grayson's internal conflict, a dilemma that resonates deeply with anyone who has ever had to choose between two impossible paths. He is paralyzed by a choice that offers no true victory. If he remains silent and succumbs to Dr. Whitmore's intimidation, he might temporarily protect his mother, but he will remain a slave to a murderous cartel that has already tried to kill him once. He will be complicit in the very darkness that almost claimed his life. Conversely, if he fully cooperates with Jacob and the police to dismantle the plasma ring, he seeks a desperately needed spiritual redemption. But he paints a massive target on the backs of himself and his frail mother. One wrong move, one misplaced whisper of betrayal, will not only cost him his life but will drag his entire family into an unspeakable tragedy. As if this emotional powder keg were not volatile enough, the sudden and unexpected appearance of Ashley in his hospital room throws a massive wrench into an already chaotic situation. Ashley's arrival is the ultimate wildcard. What are her true intentions? Is she a beacon of hope, an ally who can help him navigate this treacherous minefield? Or is she unwittingly stepping into a death trap that will seal both of their fates? Her presence introduces a new layer of emotional entanglement, forcing Grayson to expend his limited, fading energy on shielding yet another person he cares about from the looming darkness. The dynamic in that hospital room is thick with unspoken fears, desperate glances, and the crushing weight of impending doom.